Daytona Beach, Florida springs to life. A new NASCAR season dawns. A fresh beginning for drivers and crews. Eager, fresh faces take to the speedway, hoping to find a little extra horsepower, a faster line and a checkered flag. Waiting for them are the old guns, experienced and plenty tough. All gunning for the same thing, a win at Daytona. A Busch championship comes forward. But as practice yesterday showed, the slightest error at Daytona can damage that dream. Several crews worked overtime, repairing yesterday's damage, working against the clock. At Daytona, the clock is always ticking. But the dream remains. You yearn to walk with the champion. But this is Daytona Beach. There are no guarantees.
There are no guarantees, Mr. Musburger, as we begin the great American race, the Daytona 500, the granddaddy of NASCAR, the Super Bowl of stock car racing, the Kentucky Derby, the World Series, and the kickoff of the Super Bowl, all rolled into one. Today, that journey begins with a 5-mile jaunt around this magnificent 2-mile facility, which was opened in 1959 and immediately became a fixture on the NASCAR circuit. Legends are made here. Names like Pearson, Petty, Yarborough, Gordon, Elliott, Jarrett, Earnhardt have all celebrated victory on this sport's grandest stage. But today, a new crop of rookies has joined the NASCAR circuit, and they are definitely guaranteed to make some noise. Coming to take the green flag is the number 121 Windcraft Sports Chevrolet, driven by Dylan Murway out of Greeley, Colorado. The first lap at this track is typically a lot slower than the second. As you can see on the screen, he is 32nd quickest on that first go-around, because your first lap always builds up RPM when you're making your way on in a qualifying session. Your first lap, especially at these speedways, always wants to builds up momentum for these drivers when they come to the green flag. The second lap is almost always going to be the money lap. Coming off of turn 4, the Colorado Buffaloes colored Chevrolet will take the checkered flag in 25th. Keep in mind, the Gatorade 125s will most likely change several drivers' starting positions because qualifying only sets the front row for the Daytona 500. The rest of the starting field will be set in a unique pair of 125-mile dual races at Daytona. The rules for today's Gatorade 125s. The Gatorade 125s will determine the starting position for the Daytona 500. The first race determines the inside row, and the second race determines the outside row. Like I said earlier, the Daytona 500 front row will be based off of qualifying time only, not the 125s. If one of the two drivers on the front row crashes in the Daytona 500 and has to go to a backup, the inside row moves up one spot. Same as if the outside row crashes, they move up one spot, and the driver on the outside has to start at the rear of the field.
Now let's take a look at the starting lineup. In the front row are
Whoa.
In the second row are the Home Depot Pontiac and the Mark Martin Ford. Starting the race from row 3 are Chevrolet and the UBS Ford. Starting the race from row 5 will be the GM Goodwrench Service Plus Chevrolet and the Winfield car. In row 6, we have the Caterpillar Dodge and the Dale Jr. Chevrolet. Starting from row 7 will be the Citgo Ford and its N car. In the 8th row are the 16 car and the America Online Chevrolet. In the 9th row, we have the 97 car and the Sirius Satellite Radio Dodge. In the 10th row are the Dodge dealers UAW Dodge with the 63 car. And rounding out the field is the 23 car.
Saw the starting lineup. Rusty Wallace and Ken Schrader will be on the front row for this race. Pace car is off, and the green flag is out. Coming down the backstretch, everybody seems to be a bit more organized than the shootout on Monday. Everybody seems to have really kind of settled down. You see Jerry Nadeau really starting to dance after almost getting loose there in turn 3. Dylan Murway trying to look for somebody to draft with as Rusty Wallace leads lap 1. There could be some interesting pit strategies here. If drivers, there could be a chance that a driver may not pit and just run this race straight through. In fact, pretty much everybody in this field is planning to do that. Is just run this race straight through without taking a pit stop. As Tony Stewart takes the lead and Bobby Hamilton is screaming at his spotter to let him in, because he's got no help on the outside lane, as Dylan Murway just barely squeezed in front of Jerry Nadeau to try to help the 55. Whoa, Dale Jarrett almost spun Dylan Murway there. We stay green. Dylan Murway is going to take the two drivers 3 wide and bring Dale Jarrett with him. Oh, card the wall in the back. That's Mark Martin. Kevin Harvick with a nice run to the front up in 3rd. Trying to look under the inside of Terry Labonte. So I got a Pontiac, 2 Chevrolet, 3 Chevrolets, and a Ford in the top 5. Since Rusty Wallace was on the front row for the Gatorade 125 for the Daytona 500, no matter where he finishes, unless he were to crash to where his team has to bring out a backup car, he's good. He keeps that spot for the Daytona 500. Dylan Murway trying to use the draft almost to maybe make his way to the front. He brings Rusty Wallace with him, and Terry Labonte and Kevin Harvick just slam on the brakes. So we got a 3-car breakaway at the front, while everybody else has divided themselves into 2 groups. Almost like an us versus them type deal. Dylan Murray has let Rusty Wallace fall in front of him, which is actually a pretty smart decision because Rusty Wallace is one of the most experienced drivers on the Winston Cup Tour. And what better way to learn the way this track works than draft behind a veteran? Tony Stewart has made his way out front, and by made his way out front, he's checked out by probably a good half a second over Rusty Wallace and Dylan Murray. You can see how close that air is between Rusty and the 2 and Dylan Murray in the 121. Both of those cars really aren't locking bumpers very well in this package versus the other package last season on NASCAR Inside Line, where drivers would lock bumpers pretty much all the time at these tracks. As Dylan Murray is using the draft rut, but he's also allowing the air to cool the car behind, which if both drivers work together, both cars lock together, when these drivers are in a draft, Rusty would see the clean air, at least until he got behind Tony Stewart. He saw all that clean air. He's trying to look for more clean air, but Tony's trying to keep Rusty in behind him, which means trapping him in dirty air. Dylan Murray is tucked up behind the 2. Both of those cars are going faster together than Tony Stewart's going by himself, which, depending on handling, should allow Rusty and Dylan to just blow right by him. But so far, Tony's been able to play the blocking game and keep the 2 behind. As contact there between Murray and Rusty. Rusty gets loose, no caution there. Three laps to go as Tony Stewart continues to have almost a full second ahead of Dylan Murray and 2 seconds ahead of Rusty Wallace. A little over 2 seconds now. Trying to close up on the 20 car, which unfortunately, if you don't have a draft, you're basically not going to go anywhere if you want to win these races. Unless Tony Stewart has a problem right now, then Dylan Murray is not going anywhere. You see the top 3 is, as it stands, Tony Stewart, Dylan Murray, and Rusty Wallace make up the top 3 spots. There is a car on pit road. Unclear if it had an engine problem or not. How about Rusty Wallace closing up on Dylan Murray? Maybe he tried having a slingshot around him, but unfortunately, Dylan Murray wants to cover the block. He wants a push. He wants the 2 to work together. Not with those 2 cars going all over the place. That probably won't happen. 2 laps to go. Tony Stewart has added 2 more seconds to his lead. Rusty looks low, and Dylan Murray will shut the door. Keeps him high, keeps him low. Rusty tries to look for a spot. At this point, I just ride. As the white flag waves here at Daytona, Tony Stewart is just checked out on the field. Rusty Wallace tries looking up high for second. That's pretty much where the only battle is going to be, other than the big mosh pit in the back of the pack, as Rusty gets into the wall off turn 2. As they make their way off turn 4, Tony Stewart will see the checkered flag and win the Gatorade 125s at Daytona. His race, anyway. Dylan Murray will come across in second. And we'll see where that puts everyone for the Daytona 500. Rusty Wallace, Kevin Harvick, Ward Burton, Terry Labonte, the top 6.
You really can dominate a NASCAR Winston Cup race.
The Windcraft car doesn't look any different than when he started this race.
And there'll be a relief on the old wallet, too. It costs big money to keep these NASCAR Winston Cup cars in tip-top shape week in and week out. If you don't damage them on race day, they'll save a lot of time and a lot of money.
As we get set for the big show.
No day dawns more brightly than race morning of the Daytona 500. The sun brings light to the day and life to a dream. Boys who grow up to be men, but want their toys to grow up too. Few eyes have seen the flag of victory here. But on this day, the past is simply history. Previous wins are old glory. Daytona is a destination reserved for dreamers, where victory lane can be unlocked by determination and opened by destiny. Sons who want to grow up to be just like Dad, show their talent, carry on the family tradition. This is their Sunday best because they hope this is their best Sunday. The Great American Race, where today we salute those who have become stars and those who wish to earn their stripes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is race day in the Daytona 500. At the end of the day, one driver out of the field of 43 will have their dream come true as they etch their name onto the Harley J. Earl Trophy. Let's go trackside with Barney Hall.
Well, here we are at the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, the NASCAR Winston Cup Series premier event. This is Joe Moore, and I'm with Barney Hall to bring you live flag-to-flag coverage on MRN. To win a race is something pretty special at any track. But to win here at Daytona, you're that much closer to becoming a legend in the sport.
Well, you're right. To have your name mentioned as a former winner here at Daytona puts you on a list with some drivers that these guys have admired since they were kids.
In 1993, Bobby Labonte finished second to Jeff Gordon in the Rookie of the Year battle.
You know, that's a pretty good rookie class. At first, Gordon's accomplishments overshadowed Bobby's, but Labonte had been a solid contender for the title in each of the last few years.
2000 was a memorable year for Johnny Benson at Daytona. He was leading the 500 with 4 laps to go, but wound up in 12th.
And you know, he didn't even have a sponsor up until race day. Johnny was out front and looking good, but he got railroaded by a train of Fords after a late caution restart.
Here's the starting lineup. Starting out front are the Ganassi Racing Dodge and the Team Rusty Ford. Starting in row 2 will be the Singular Wireless Chevrolet and the Home Depot Pontiac. In row 3 are the Windcraft car and the Tide Ford. In row 4 are the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet and the GM Goodrich Service Plus Chevrolet. Rounding out the top 10 starting spots are the Interstate Batteries Pontiac and the Caterpillar Dodge. The 6th row has the Dodge Dealers UAW Dodge and the Kellogg Chevrolet. In row 7 are the 46 car and the UPS Ford. Starting the race from row 8 are the Sprint Dodge and the M&M's Pontiac. And in row 9 are the DuPont Chevrolet and the 99 car. Starting in row 10 will be the Lowe Chevrolet and the Square D Chevrolet. In row 11 are the Pennzoil Chevrolet and the Mark Martin Ford. In row 12 are the Cheerios Dodge and the Rubbermaid Ford. Row 13 finds the 21 car and the Dodge Dealers UAW Dodge. The 14th row has the DeWalt Power Tools Ford and the 63 car. In row 15 are the Target Dodge and the 16 car. Starting the race from row 16 are the 26 car and the Sirius Satellite Radio Dodge. Row 17 has the Avalon Ford and the UAW Delphi Chevrolet. Starting in row 18 will be the Altel Ford and the Dale Jr. Chevrolet. In row 19 are the Kodak Chevrolet and the Valvoline Pontiac. In row 20 are the 37 car and the 23 car. Back in row 21, we have the 98 car and the America Online Chevrolet. And rounding out the field is the Van Racing Dodge.
Those are the 43 drivers that will be starting this afternoon's Daytona 500. Sterling Marlin, Rusty Wallace on the front row. We got Robbie Gordon starting third. Kevin Harvick in his first Daytona 500 will be starting in 10th. Obviously filling in for the late Dale Earnhardt, who was killed 1 year ago. Since next year is the 20th anniversary of Senior's passing, lap 3 for this race will be silent. Nothing, no voice from me, just the cars. On the track, we look through the field one more time. Frank Kimmel starts 13th. How about Kyle Petty with a nice qualifying run today in the Sprint PCS Dodge in 15th. Jeff Gordon starting in 17th, right in front of the car that he co-owns, by the way. The 4-time Winston Cup champion looks to begin his title defense today at Daytona. Sterling Marlin and Rusty Wallace on the front row. Pace car is off. We got 50 laps of the Great American Race. coming out of turn 4. You can already see a lot more movement with these cars as Rusty Wallace gets shuffled way out of the top 5 after Dylan Murray almost got turned, as Robbie Gordon will lead the first lap. Ricky Craven, Sterling Marlin, Dylan Murray, and Bobby Labonte, the top 5. As, Marlin hits the brakes. Everyone checks up. Looks like everything seems to settle down. So we got a 4-car breakaway up at the front. Robbie Gordon, Kevin Harvick, teammates up in that group. Dylan Murray and Ricky Craven trying to break them up. With next year being the 20th anniversary of his death, of Dale Sr.'s death, we will do a throwback to and honor his legacy with a silent lap 3, which begins right now. Dylan Murray is currently trying to push the 32 Tide Ride owned by Ricky Craven to the front, and he will do just that and kick Robbie Gordon out of the lead. Here at Daytona, first time we've seen a Ford up front. They've been dominant pretty much all speed weeks. And now would just be a time to just settle in, let the field know what you got, find what drivers you can work with, find what drivers that'll probably snooker you later, just like how everybody in the leaders basically snookered Robbie Gordon out of the lead. And you see Dylan Murray tries to duck low. Kevin Harvick goes up top, trying to stay in the outside lane. Dylan Murray trying to maybe clear Ricky Craven. He's going to have to side draft him. Harvick ducks to the bottom lane to pick up Dylan Murray, take him to the front. Now he's got 2 cars to deal with. Harvick drops back. Craven trying to look for the lead. Dylan Murray will shut the door. Everybody after the initial stack up on the first couple laps has seemed to settle down. So far, Dylan Murray will take the lead here in the Daytona 500. Ricky Craven, Kevin Harvick, Robbie Gordon, and Bobby Labonte for the top 5. Looks like Bobby Hamilton and Bobby Labonte and Robbie Gordon trying to work together. Dylan Murray drops down low to pick up Harvick in the corners. Hang on. And Craven will push Dylan to the point. Dylan down low, Craven trying to look high. Remember, Ricky Craven has 1 career win to his name back in the Martinsville race fall of 2001, which was sunny October Monday. Where he battled Dale Jarrett to the win after Kevin Harvick and Bobby Hamilton had a difference on the track. Kevin Harvick trying to look down low. Bit of an aggressive moment there. And it looks like Dylan Murray will let Harvick clear him as Craven kills any thought of trying to join the party, as we got a couple more cars up in the mix. Robbie Gordon comes back. Bobby Labonte in 5th. And it looks like Bill Elliott, the only Dodge in this mix. So far, the top 6 is basically 2/3 General Motors. You got 3 Chevrolets and a Pontiac. And you got a Ford and a Dodge in the top 6. Kevin Harvick is your leader. Remember, there will be playoffs this season, so if a driver wins, provided they're inside the top 30 in points, they are automatically into the playoffs. Dylan Murway tucks in behind Robbie Gordon as Robbie Gordon makes his way back into the lead conversation. As Bill Elliott gets loose in turn 4. Looks like everybody thinks better of it. Robbie Gordon almost gets loose as Kevin Harvick is your leader. So the nice thing, granted, normally in these types of races, Daytona and Talladega, and the fact that we're going to be racing on the sandy beaches of Daytona later in the year, you really don't get a lot of separation at Daytona and Talladega. You usually have a car in front of you, a car behind you, 2 cars to each side, sometimes 3. Cars if you're lucky, and you basically have to plan your moves just right. So far, Kevin Harvick is dominating the early portion of this race, and again, just like we were talking about in the dual races, drafting is so critical at this track because it benefits both drivers. You just see Kevin Harvick is the lead car in this situation. He cuts through the dirty air up front, which allows him to go faster. Dylan Murway has been pretty fast most of Speed Weeks. He finished 2nd in his dual race. He acts as a pusher to Harvick, plus both cars save fuel in the draft and go a lot faster than if they were in a big pack of, say, 20, 30 cars. So far, everybody is pulled away from the group of 40 behind. 40 cars, as it looks like there's a slow car in turn 4 going to pit road. Unclear who that is. As Dylan Murway and Kevin Harvick have taken off to the front of the pack. 29 and 121 up front here at Daytona. Dylan Murway ducks down low. Looks like Kevin Harvick may let Dylan in. Will let Dylan in here to allow Dylan to lead and cut into the dirty air. Oh, no, Harvick's holding even with Dylan down the backstretch. And that's the problem when you got 2 cars just by themselves. They're going to be sitting ducks. When they're by themselves and they got a pack of 40 cars chasing them down. Not like they are. You got to have at least some form of, I guess, consistency when you got 2 cars working together like Harvick and Murway. 12 laps are complete here at Daytona. Let's give you the first quarter race rundown. Showing off the top 10. Dylan Murway is your leader. He has led 3 laps so far with Robbie Gordon. Kevin Harvick is in 2nd. Robbie Gordon is 3rd. Bill Elliott is 4th. Mark Martin is 5th. Ricky Craven in 6th. Kurt Busch 7th. Bobby Labonte 8th. Jeff Burton 9th. And Steve Park in 10th. Ricky Craven has led a lap. Kevin Harvick has led 5. So we look through the rest of the field. Ken Schrader rounds out the top 20. Jeff Gordon getting really shuffled around all the way back to 27th. The car that fell, 2 cars fell out of the race. Ryan Newman fell out after 5 laps, and Mike Skinner has fallen out after 11 laps. Oh. Come on, Harvick, get in line. Get in line. Good. Keep that draft. Keep him behind you. So 2 cars have had problems today. Mike Skinner in the 4 and Ryan Newman in the 12. So not really the greatest feeling to leave Daytona on the bottom of the point sheet there, is it? Not at all. Kevin Harvick trying to keep with Dylan Murway, the silver Goodwrench Chevrolet. Dylan Murway's led a couple laps, and Harvick wants a time out front. And that is a perfectly executed switch. Dylan Murway tucks in behind Harvick. Let's go on board. Kevin Harvick is continuing to lead here in the Daytona 500 as he adds more laps to his 5-lap total that he's led today. Just remember, every time there's the car out front in the draft, when they're leading a certain line of cars, then they always cut into the dirty air, allowing the cars to see better and maneuver better. The car behind, in this case, is Kevin Harvick. He acts as a pusher and he saves his fuel for a later run, where his drivers are probably going to pit around lap 23, 24, trying to estimate. Then Harvick and Murway could pit later in the cycle versus the cars that come down early. We look on to the rest of the field that looks like they've broken off in 2 packs. We have ran the first 17 laps caution-free up to this point. Dylan Murway trying to keep Harvick behind him. And so far, Kevin Harvick and Dylan Murway have been a pretty viable drafting pair. Kevin Harvick trying to sneak a lane on the inside. the 29. Harvick down low, and he will take the point. Looks like there's another car on that list on down pit road, if you look on the map. Dylan Murray staying tight to that back bumper of the 29. I mean, he is tight. The Colorado Buffaloes themed paint scheme for this race. Kevin Harvick, Dylan Murray still out front. The top 5 has changed hands. Now 3 Fords have joined the party. And all 3 of them are Jack Roush drivers, no less. Oh, God. First quarter or so of this race has been complete here at Daytona. Kevin Harvick and Dylan Murray have just been dominating this race up to this point. They have started to reach the halfway point on fuel as they continue to, their plan's been working pretty well to fruition, I think. As look at that, there's already a small wave of cars on pit road. And Dylan Murray barely has worn out his front tires. Both his front tires, left and right. The rear tires are both good, or still good. They still have good rubber on them. As Dylan Murray continues to close in, I'm surprised he hasn't said goodbye to Kevin Harvick. I think he's keeping the same strategy in mind that we're all seeing. They're trying to save fuel, just allow the 2 rookies to race out front and learn the track, I guess. Kevin Harvick obviously ran for Rookie of the Year honors in 2001, won both that and the Busch Series championship that year, all while replacing the late Dale Earnhardt, who was unfortunately killed in 1 year ago in February 2001 in the Daytona 500. Childress tapped up Kevin Harvick to drive the newly renumbered 29, and to say the least, it's paying off pretty well in this race. He's racing almost like how Senior raced. It seems like he's seeing the air and just cutting through it, allowing both him and Dylan Murray to make some amazing lap times. In fact, Dylan Murray is already chalked into the 48.16 range in terms of lap time. As he has officially cracked into the 48.0 range. So he could probably reach 47 in the next couple laps, just judging by the way those 2 have raced. Unclear on if when these drivers will come to pit road. And when these 2 will come to pit lane. Probably in the next few laps or so. Dylan Murray's starting to wear his tires out more and more. You can see him really start to drift up the track more and more. As we've ran basically almost the first half of this race caution free. Dylan Murray was able to slingshot around Harvick probably about 4 or 5 miles an hour faster than he was. As we're about 1 lap away from reaching halfway here in the Daytona 500 in this 50-lap race. 200. So we're about to reach lap number 25. In this one, Dylan Murray gets more points added to his total. A couple more cars are coming to pit road. As drivers from the last wave of pit stops are coming back onto the racetrack, is still the Dylan Murray Kevin Harvick show here at Daytona, the Daytona 500. One of those names could end up on the Harley J. Earl Trophy by the time this afternoon is over. Some cars from the first initial wave of green flag pit stops have made their way onto the racetrack. Dylan Murray and Kevin Harvick could probably catch that lap group, plus that lone car on the apron of Shane Hall, number 63. Dylan Murray looks high. And looks like he's going to let Harvick duck in behind him. Harvick comes ahead. Harvick gets leads that lap. Dylan Murray, Kevin Harvick will continue to lead, as I believe Harvick led the midway lap of this race, so he will get the midway bonus. The question is, will he be able to hold on for the end in the stretch run, aka when things really start getting nutty? You're about to find out. All you gotta do, sit and watch. Dylan Murray took the lead from Harvick just a little after the start-finish line. Could he use the 97 car Kurt Busch as a pick to hold Harvick back? And it looks like they will be heading pit road together. And so begins the first round of green flag stops. Dylan Murray has gotten back on the track. Unclear as to where Harvick is at. His drafting partner for the first half of this race. up to this point. They're going to be passed here by Burton, Marlin, and Elliott. Dylan falls to turn fourth as pit stops as it cycles out. As we look at our mid-race report, Kevin Harvick has led the most laps up to this point, with Dylan Murway leading the second most. Labonte leading one lap under green. So starting unofficial, the lap results running order as of right now. Bobby Labonte leads, Mark Martin second, Kyle Petty third, Steve Park fourth, Terry Labonte fifth, Michael Waltrip sixth, Jeremy Mayfield seventh, Ward Burton eighth, Ricky Rudd ninth, and Jeff Gordon in 10th. As your top 10. Any other cars falling out of the race? Scott Wimmer now had a problem a little while ago, so he joins Mike Skinner and Ryan Newman in the garage. Those are the three cars that fell out of the race. Bobby Labonte is your leader on this cycle of green flag stops. Todd Bodine ends up onto the racetrack. Here comes Rusty Wallace back on. And now everything looks to be settled in order. I think Harvick might have taken some pit strategy to his run. Though unclear if that was the case. Joe Murway trying to maybe suck a draft off of the 48 of Johnson. Cars on the apron getting back onto the racetrack. And it looks like if everything settles down, we should see Kevin Harvick and Dylan Murway up front very shortly. Dylan Murway trying to almost run Kyle Petty onto the apron. Trying to make his way to the front. Dylan Murway trying to use Jimmy Johnson as a way to get the draft off of cars in front of him. Dylan Murway trying to let Kyle Petty push him. And can Dylan Murway make his way back into the top 5, which he started this race 5th, cycled out to 7th by turn 1, and made his way to the lead where him and Kevin Harvick basically traded blows throughout the first couple stages of this race. Dylan Murway trying to hold Jimmy at bay. Dylan down low on Mark Martin for 6th. Got one car is way out in front. Ironically, is the 29 of Harvick. That's way out there by himself, while the field continues to fight in the pack. Dylan Miller trying to look his way, get his way to the front. Trying to keep Jimmy behind him. Hopefully use a draft off of the 18 of Bobby Labonte. Remember, we're starting to get towards crunch time here with 16 to go. Can Kevin Harvick hold on and win his first race 500 in his first start and probably become the first driver to do it ever since Trevor Bayne in 2011? And his first start at this great event. Kevin Harvick continues to lead here at Daytona. You see him just getting into turn 1 now as we speak. There are 3 cars battling for second behind him. Drafting partner Dylan Murray sits in 5th. Labonte trying to get a run. Runs past Jimmy Johnson. Labonte goes up high. A little over under 14 to go, 15 to go now here in the Daytona 500. Dylan Murray and Jimmy Johnson, they've kind of been taking turns at working with the new rookie. In fact, two young kids are actually working together. They got a group of 3 veterans up front, Bill Elliott, Jeff Burton, and Sterling Marlin, respectively. As Dylan Murray gets into Burton, who goes around. And it looks like it'll be a single car incident. The first caution of the season is out. And they will let him race to the line. Dylan Murray will be seated in 5th when the caution came out. How about Jeff Burton, though? Attempting to keep the throttle in it. The throttle in it. Somehow not taking anybody else with him. 10 to go. Kevin Harvick, Sterling Marlin, Bill Elliott, Dylan Murray, Jimmy Johnson. Look at Kyle Petty making a move on the inside. That's Bobby Labonte back there trying to be on the inside lane. Petty trying to stick his nose up top. Who does Dylan go with? Let's Petty come, tucks in behind Petty. Can Labonte squeeze in? Yes, he does. Dylan moves down. You got Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin on the bottom. Now Kyle Petty needs a drafting partner. Bobby Labonte is going to pass him. Now you got Mark Martin, Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Gordon trying to work together on the outside lane. Martin trying to take Dylan to the front. 9 to go. Dylan Murray trying to trap Petty on the outside. Ricky Rudd tucks down under the one down to help Dylan Murray to the front. And Petty is going to be freight trained. Oh, this is getting to get good here. You got 4 cars up front. Dylan Murray trying to keep, almost like he's trying to keep the pack at bay in hopes of maybe getting a shot at running down the leaders. Marlin tries to look under the inside of Harvick. 8 to go. He may have some good time that last run. Dylan Murray is able to clear Labonte. Now, who will push Dylan to the front? With those 3 cars, they're working in together almost. Bill Elliott and Sterling Marlin trying to get Daytona 500, get Dodge their first Daytona 500 win. Marlin and Elliott have been all over Harvick's bumper pretty much this last restart or so. Marlin trying to look to the inside for the lead. And Harvick somehow still keeps the rest of the world at bay. Harvick with no help up top, and it looks like Sterling Marlin will go to the point. Here at Daytona. Harvick in second, Elliott with no help this time. Now Harvick comes in front of Bill. Elliott tucks in the inside. Harvick trying to go all over that 40 car. Dylan Murray continuing to be aggressive in this group behind him. The more those two fight, the more the leaders can come to the front. 6 laps to go. Three cars in a blanket. Dylan Murray trying his best to aggressively keep the pack behind him. Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace on the inside. Dylan up top. I don't know if that would have been a good move. Takes the run almost to the apron. Gordon tucks up behind Labonte. Here comes Jimmy Johnson trying to help. Gordon comes and tucks behind Rusty Wallace. Now Jimmy Johnson is the leader. Ricky Rudd with a push from Wallace. Oh, Dylan almost crashes on that. They're fighting for hopefully to get it to Harvick. Five to go. Johnson comes low. 3 wide for 7th. Left the lane open. I don't know if I'd have done that, though. Here comes Gordon with help on the outside. Dylan trying to keep everybody behind him. Everyone is all over him. Now Gordon's on the high side. Johnson down low. You got Labonte trying to help Jimmy Johnson. And, oh, there it is. This could be the big one. Several cars involved. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Sterling Marlin, Bobby Labonte, and more. And the second caution of the race. Could this be it, though? We could be racing to the win. Sterling Marlin comes to take the caution flag. As there was a big wreck on the backstretch. Johnson got turned into Gordon. Somehow this was only a 2-car crash. And it looks like this race will end under caution. Sterling Marlin will fulfill a dream and win the Daytona 500.
The drivers didn't spend much time behind that Pontiac pace car today.
Well, I can assure you, all those guys who finished in the back would like to have seen more cautions. Make adjustments without the penalty of going a lap down. They just didn't have that luxury this time.
The 121 car will get a top 5 for his efforts.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a top 5 finish, that's for sure.
From all of us here at EA Sports and MRN, thanks for joining us today. So long. We'll see you next week at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
How about this? The race unfortunately ended under caution. Sterling Marlin ends up winning this race. Kevin Harvick, in his first 500, ends up placing 3rd out of all this. Let's look through the unofficial results. 14 lead changes, 2 cautions for 4 laps. Time of race, a little over 52 minutes. Average speed, 143 miles an hour. And the margin of victory is a half a second under caution at 50 miles an hour. We'll look through the unofficial results and get through the awards for the race right now. So, Sterling Marlin leads, won today's race. Bill Elliott ends up 2nd. Kevin Harvick finishes 3rd. Ricky Rudd finishes 4th. Dylan Murway finishes 5th for the debut of Murway Racing. Rusty Wallace finishes 6th. Mark Martin finishes 7th. Matt Kenseth finishes 8th. Kyle Petty with a nice run today in 9th. And Jeremy Mayfield will end up 10th. Tony Stewart ends up 11th. Michael Waltrip will end up 12th. Ward Burton will finish 13th. Bobby Labonte finishes 14th. Terry Labonte finishes 15th. Ricky Craven 16th. Jimmy Spencer 17th. Robbie Gordon 18th. Kurt Busch 19th. Dale Jarrett 20th. 21st is John Andretti. 22nd is Johnny Benson. 23rd is Elliott Sadler. 24th is Jeff Burton, rebounding from that late race spin. Shauna Robinson finishes 25th. Jerry Nadeau finishes 26th. Casey Kane finishes 27th. Steve Park finishes 28th. Greg Biffle will finish 29th. And Todd Bonine will end up 30th. 31st is Jeff Green. 32nd is Casey Atwood. 33rd is Ken Schrader. 34th is Jeff Purvis. 35th is Bobby Hamilton. 36th is Frank Kimmel. 37th is Dale Earnhardt Jr. 38th is Shane Hall. 39th is Jeff Gordon. And 40th is Jimmy Johnson. Cars that fell out of the race, again, were Scott Wimmer, Mike Skinner, and Ryan Newman, all with engine troubles. 14 leaders in this race. Drivers that spent time out front. Robbie Gordon led 3 laps. Ricky Craven led 1 lap. Bobby Labonte, Ward Burton both led a lap. Tony Stewart, Tony didn't lead. Mark Martin led 1 lap. Dylan Murway led 8. Kevin Harvick led the most laps with 28. And Sterling Marlin led 7 laps today, including the most critical one, the last lap. As we save first. And we take a look at the awards for the week. Just a reminder, the top 5 will qualify for the Jackpot 5 at Las Vegas in a couple weeks. So weekly awards, Sterling Marlin won the pole and won the race. Last time a driver did that, Dale Jarrett in 2000. Kevin Harvick won the Gatorade Frontrunner Award. Ricky Rudd won the All Charged Up and Fast Pace Award. Dylan Murray was the best rookie of the race. And Matt Kenseth won the EA Sports Move of the Race Award. There's the Rookie of the Year standings. 10 rookies in the field. Dylan Murray with a staggering 72-point lead over Shauna Robinson. And with hot commodities, Ryan Newman and Jimmy Johnson at the bottom of the list, a lot of things could change. Race 2 in Atlanta. Sterling Marlin only had one pole. The top 5 for this race will qualify for the Jackpot 5 at Vegas. Scared me. I couldn't one-handed that. The Manufacturer Championship, the standings there. Dodge has 9 points. Chevrolet has 6 points. Ford has 4 points. And Pontiac has 3. Lap champion as of right now. Standings don't really matter, but Kevin Harvick has a 20-point lead over Dylan Murray. Or 20-lap lead, I'm sorry. Tune in next week for Atlanta.